Everything heating up now in the Western Eyre Netball Association. We've got a new team on top of the table, and it's Reanna Freeman's Hawks, and she joins me on the line right now. How are you, Reanna?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, very well. You must be up and about, sitting on top of the ladder for the first time all year.
Yes, it's certainly not where we thought we'd be at the start of the season, so very happy to be there at this end of the season, but it is a bit of a fake top, being that we have played one more game than the other teams because we've got the bye this weekend. But look, we're sitting top and I'll take it.
Yeah, that's it, top nevertheless. And it was the win over Wirrulla, 68-51, that gifted you that top spot on the ladder. So talk us through that game.
Yeah, look, I think there's a lot of history between Hawks and Wirrulla, obviously going back to the Midwest days, and we've faced them in many finals and quite a few grand finals and only ever really come out on top once against them. So it's always nice to get a win against Wirrulla, but I don't know that there would have been many times in the history of, for as long as I've been around, that we've had a win by that much against Wirrulla. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we were playing for more than just a game on Saturday. There was a lot of heart in the game, there was a lot of emotion, and, obviously a bit of a crowd being the last game at Piednippie. So the girls dug that little bit deeper and had that little bit extra on the court, and I think it definitely showed. They played like an outstanding team. They played for each other. And not only that, they played for all the people that came before them that didn't have the opportunity to play that last game on that court. So a shout out to all the people that did all the organisation to put on such a fabulous day out at Piednippie, and not just that, the Hall delegates who have been working their butt off for numerous years to put together what is one of the best grounds on the EP. So shout out to all those people that do all the work, and well done to the Hawks girls for having a win. And also the Wirrulla girls, majority of them stuck around for tea, bought caravans, stayed for a drink and a dance, and just shows that regardless of what happens on the court, we're all good friends as soon as that whistle goes, and enjoy each other's company.
Yeah, great stuff. It sounds like it was a fantastic day on and off the court, and I think the footy team had a win as well there at Piednippie. So, yeah, certainly was a very big day for the last game there, and like I said, catapults you to the top of the ladder, which you probably didn't see that happening after I think you lost 2 of your first 3 and drew the other one to start the season. Yeah,
so we didn't really start that well. It took us a little while to get a full team and to settle, and I think it's sort of all coming together at the right end of the season. We've got the bye this weekend, so I'm glad to have a game next weekend before we go into finals. But, the girls are doing all the right things at the right time of the year, and I actually think that's the case across the board with all teams. I think these last couple of rounds of netball leading into finals are just going to show some outstanding talent and some absolute cracking games of netball.
All right, so a massive result there. And then in our other game played on the weekend, it was the Western United Tigers 45 over the Ceduna Blues 34. So we mentioned last week the Blues have been honourable in a lot of their losses, but it looked like this was probably their best chance to pick up a win for the season, and it's likely left them going winless, but a pretty good year nevertheless for the Blues, and for the Tigers a good win on the weekend.
Yeah, look, the margin was only 11, which is obviously greater than what they had the last 2 times they played each other, which was 3 and 4. Westies way. So still not a huge margin. So I think Blues would still be happy because Westies are absolutely on the up and rise and where they need to be coming into finals. So I think Blues would still be quite happy to have given them such a good hit out. Westies also would be really happy with an 11-goal win. And as I think, I've repeated myself so many times this year, is there's no big margins against Blues. They're within reach, but just, falling short right at the end. So shout out to them and the work they've been doing, and to Westies, they are on the right trajectory and playing some outstanding netball.
Yeah, you're right. The Blues haven't really suffered any major losses. It's pretty amazing to be winless and sitting on a percentage of almost 75. So definitely a lot of honourable losses in there, and it goes to show just how close this competition is. And we're getting into round 14, just 2 rounds to go this weekend. Your Hawks are on the bye, coming off that big win. Wirrulla kicking off the action, taking on the Ceduna Blues at Wirrulla.
Yeah, so as far as I'm aware, both teams have got full teams. The first time these two teams met, Wirrulla come out on top by 2, and the second time 16. I imagine Wirrulla will be keen to get a really good win on the board. Really important couple of weeks for Thevi and Wirrulla coming up, being that they will be fighting for a top 2 position, or they'll be wanting to stay in the 2. So both teams really keen to get wins on the board. So I reckon Wirrulla will come out firing for this game, pretty keen to have a win, and I think they most definitely should.
And in our other game happening on the weekend, the Western United Tigers are taking on Thevenard at Penong.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting game. First time they met, it was Thevi by 6, and the second time they met, it was Thevi by 2. So the last time they played, I actually went and watched. They're quite a good match-up all the way down the court. I believe Thevi are back with a full team, so Nikki's back and Cassie's back for this Saturday's game, which I think is in 2 very important ends, and they'll be keen to hit the court. 2 teams that play very different games of netball, so I think this game's going to come down to who adjusts the best, not only playing their own game but adjusting to the opposition's team and, putting their best foot forward. I think Westies are really keen to show everyone how serious they are come finals, so I think they'll be really keen to come out and win this one. Thevi, I think, will be happy to settle back into a team and try and get a win on the board. And as I said before, a really important game for Thevi. They'd want to be winning this to keep them in touch with the top 2. Because if they win this one, the following week, Thevi and Wirrulla play, and they will be fighting it out for top spot on the ladder. So, a really interesting round. I think Thevi will go in favourites, but I wouldn't put anything past Westies. If Thevi have got a full team, I'm going to tip them for the win. If not, I reckon Westies might just get over the line.
It is interesting, isn't it, in a 5-team comp where 4 teams end up making finals, the Tigers have been a bit of an afterthought because it has looked like the top 3 teams are sort of a step above them and the Blues are sort of a step behind them, but they're going to be playing finals and they've had some really close losses to some of those top 3 teams, and there's certainly a good chance to cause an upset. So there's definitely going to be a lot of feeling in that game this weekend.
Yeah, and look, Westies are already set to play their first semi-final at their home ground up at Penong, so they'd be really happy with that. So I think these next 2 games are about sizing up their teams and making sure they've got everything in place for that game to give them the best chance. As a coach, I've certainly not underestimated them at any point during this season. We had a draw with them for the first game of the season, and from then on, they've only got stronger and stronger. So that's a credit to them as a team and to their coach, Jade Norwood. But I think it's across the board such a fabulous competition, and pretty excited to see some really good netball in the coming weeks.
And with just 2 rounds left, how many of the girls around the competition are still travelling through Europe or the Sunshine Coast or various other sunnier parts of the world?
I think the coaches have all stepped up and told them it's all time to come home. I believe everyone's back, which is good. They'll all be fresh and ready to roll without a few games of netball, but I'm pretty sure trekking around Europe in the heat that they've had over there would have kept their fitness up and they'll be keen to hit the court. But no, I believe everyone is back, but I think there's quite a few girls sporting a nice tan for what is, the middle of winter.
Well, good to know. Everyone will be full strength or close enough to full strength as we head towards finals. So just a quick look at the ladder before we wrap up. Hawks are on top at 7-3 with a draw, and that draw, as we mentioned earlier in the year against the Tigers, that's the only thing separating the Hawks from Thevi and Wirrulla, who are at 7-3 with that extra game in hand. Tigers in 4th at 4-6-1, and the Blues at 0-10 in 5th. So it's a very tight competition, and yeah, we're very keen to see how it all wraps up over the next couple of weeks. Thanks for stopping by, Reanna. Enjoy the netball this weekend. Well, enjoy the week off for yourself, but hopefully it's a great round, and we look forward to checking in again next week.
Not a problem. Thanks very much for having me.